Let me tell you something that might sting a little. Most people don't have goals. They have wishes. They don't set goals. They daydream. They sit around hoping, praying, thinking maybe someday, and someday becomes never. You want a goal that works? Then you need to wake up the part of you that's done with excuses. The part that's not asking for permission, not waiting for a perfect moment, but ready to say, this is my standard, this is my life, and this is where it changes. How do you actually set goals that work, not goals that sound nice, but goals that shake you, wake you, and move you? When it comes to achieving goals that actually work, the most important factor isn't intelligence, strategy, or resources. It's emotion. Emotion beats logic every single time. People believe they're logical creatures, but the truth is we are driven by feelings. Logic may direct the course, but emotion is the fuel that gets you to your destination. Without a deep emotional reason behind a goal, you will eventually quit. You'll come up with clever excuses. You'll rationalize your inaction. But when there's a burning emotional reason, something that hits your core, you'll crawl if you have to. You show up when it's uncomfortable. You push through resistance because now there's something deeper at stake. Let's be honest. Most people set goals with their heads. They think, I should lose weight, or I should make more money, or I should spend more time with my family. But should doesn't change lives. Should is weak. Should is surface level. And any time pressure shows up or life gets messy, that goal gets pushed aside. Why? Because it wasn't connected to the heart, because it didn't matter enough. What works is when the goal becomes a must. And a goal only becomes a must when there's emotion behind it. Something personal, urgent, raw. Think about this. What's more powerful? Saying I should eat better, or saying if I don't get healthy now, I want to be around to watch my kids grow up? The second one creates leverage. It creates emotional necessity. That's the kind of energy that turns a casual intention into an unstoppable drive. You're no longer chasing the goal just for the sake of it. You're chasing it because your life, your identity, your sense of purpose is tied to it. To create this emotional fuel, you need to go deep. Ask yourself, why do I want this goal? And when you answer that, ask again, why is that important to me? Keep drilling down until you hit the real, honest truth, the one that makes your voice shake when you speak it, the one that makes you emotional when you think about it. That's where the power is. That's where transformation begins. It's not enough to want success. You need to feel like you have to succeed, like there's no other choice. Every person who's made a massive change in their life didn't do it because they finally found the perfect plan. They did it because they got emotionally fed up. They looked at their current life, felt disgust, pain, fear, or urgency, and they turned that emotion into momentum. They didn't say, I kind of want this. They said, I will no longer tolerate this. Enough is enough. That level of emotional intensity reprograms your brain. It flips the switch. It moves you from hoping to deciding. Logic is important, but logic works best after emotion has opened the door. Logic gives you structure, but emotion gives you the spark. Without it, you look for ways out. With it, you'll find ways through. Emotion activates courage. It pushes you through fear. It makes you face things you've been avoiding for years. And that's why any goal worth setting must be connected to something that matters deeply to you. Not your parents, not society, not your boss, you. If you want to set a goal that works, stop writing what sounds good on paper. Start writing what hits you in the heart. Attach a purpose to it. Attach meaning. Make it personal. When your goal has a heartbeat, you'll fight for it. When your goal has emotion, you won't need discipline. You will have desire. And desire, when fueled by emotion, becomes the most powerful force on earth. Clarity is power. When you're not crystal clear about what you want, you end up chasing shadows. You can't hit a target you can't see. And that's the problem with most goals. They're vague, foggy, half-decided ideas with no real structure or definition. People say things like, I want to be successful, I want to be happier, or I want to make more money. But what do those words actually mean? What does success look like for you? What does more money mean? An extra $100 a month or $1 million a year? Without specifics, your brain has no direction, your body has no path, and your life has no compass. The mind thrives on clarity. The moment you give your brain a clear destination, it starts to scan the world differently. It notices opportunities it ignored before. It filters distractions. It gets you focused. That's why setting vague goals is a recipe for spinning your wheels. When you're not specific, you don't feel urgency. You don't know how close or far you are. You don't have milestones to celebrate. And you certainly don't have any feedback when you fall off track, because you never define what on track looks like in the first place. Let's take a common goal. I want to get in shape. That sounds good, but it means nothing. In shape for what? To run a marathon? To fit into a certain size? To drop 15 pounds? To build muscle? In shape is too abstract. But when you change that goal to something like, I want to lose 12 pounds in the next 60 days, and run 3 miles without stopping by week 8. Now you've got a real target. Now your brain knows what winning looks like. It knows what you're measuring. And you'll know, day by day, whether you're on course or not. Same rule applies in every area of life. In relationships, don't say, I want to be a better partner. Define what that means. Maybe it means having one deep conversation each day with your spouse, or planning 2 date nights a month. In finances, don't say, I want to earn more. Say, I want to increase my income by $2,000, 0 cents per month, within the next 4 months, by launching an online coaching business. The more detailed your goal is, the more likely your brain is to engage with it and take it seriously. Specificity activates commitment. The other benefit of being clear is that it sharpens your decision-making. When you're clear, you instantly know what's a distraction and what's a priority. You waste less time second-guessing yourself. You know which habits to build and which ones to eliminate. You know what to say yes to, and more importantly, what to say no to. Clarity gives you boundaries, direction, and a sense of momentum. It turns a dream into a plan, and a plan into execution. Without clarity, you wander. You chase too many things at once, or worse, you chase nothing with any real force. You drift through your days reacting instead of creating. But with clarity, every action becomes intentional. Every choice serves the vision. Every day becomes a brick in the foundation of something meaningful. That's what separates the people who talk about goals from the ones who achieve them. If you want your goals to work, define them so clearly that a stranger could read them and know exactly what you're after. Use numbers, dates, and vivid descriptions. Picture the end result so clearly in your mind that it becomes real before you've even reached it. When your goal is specific, it starts being a fantasy and starts becoming a plan. And a plan is what moves you from where you are to where you want to be. When you truly want something, when it matters to the point that not achieving it feels unbearable, you must create a level of commitment so intense that turning back is no longer an option. That's what burn the boats means. It's not just a phrase, it's a mindset. It's the moment you decide, There's no plan B, no backup, no escape hatch. You go all in, or you don't go at all. People think commitment is just about saying, yes, I want this. But real commitment is doing something that forces your future self to follow through, even on the days when motivation disappears. It's cutting off retreat, burning the exit strategy, and declaring with your actions, this is happening no matter what. You gave yourself only two options. The phrase comes from stories of warriors who landed on enemy shores and then burned their ships. They gave themselves only two options, win or die. That level of commitment didn't create panic, it created power. It focused their minds, it unified their energy. When the only option is forward, you stop second-guessing. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop entertaining the idea of failure. And that's exactly what's missing in most people's goal setting today. They keep leaving the back door open. They say they want to change, but they keep the comfort of the old life nearby, just in case. Maybe you've said, I want to start this business, but you haven't told anyone. You haven't invested in it. You haven't cleared space in your calendar. That's not commitment. That's curiosity. Maybe you've said, I want to get sober, but you still hang around the same crowd, still go to the same bars, still keep that one bottle in the back of the cabinet. That's not burning the boats. That's keeping one foot in the old world. If your current life is too comfortable, too padded, too safe, your goal won't survive. It needs tension. It needs consequence. It needs to cost you something, not to follow through. Burning the boats is not about recklessness. It's about removing the option of failure by removing the option of quitting. It means doing something bold and irreversible, putting down the deposit, quitting the draining job, signing the lease, making the public announcement, asking for the mentorship, moving to the new city. It means placing yourself in an environment where not growing, not evolving, not winning will create real discomfort, because pain gets your attention. Comfort doesn't change you. But when you have something on the line, when you've invested your reputation, your money, your identity, now you've got skin in the game. Now you show up differently. The reason most people never change is because they always leave themselves an out. They say things like, I'll try, or I'll see how it goes. That kind of language guarantees failure. You don't try transformation, you commit to it. You demand it from yourself. You declare, this is who I am now, and you make it impossible to go back to the old version of you. You block the exits. You destroy the crutches. You eliminate the plan B, so plan A becomes your only reality. When you burn the boats, your energy changes. Your focus sharpens. Your fear turns into fire. Because now you're not just interested, you're obsessed. You're no longer hoping, you're moving with conviction. And that's when breakthroughs happen. Not when you dabble, not when you test the waters, but when you cannonball in with no intention of swimming back to shore. Real transformation begins the moment you remove the option of retreat. That's how you get things done, not with half-hearted effort, but with total irreversibility commitment. Setting a goal is just the beginning. If you don't follow it with a clear tactical plan, it remains a fantasy. A goal without a roadmap is like setting out on a cross-country journey without a GPS or a map. You might feel excited at first, but eventually you'll get lost, frustrated, and probably turn back. That's exactly what happens to people every single day. They set goals with good intentions, but without breaking them down into actionable steps, they never get off the ground. Big goals require structure. They require a plan that tells your mind exactly what to do next, not just what the end result looks like. People often get overwhelmed because they only focus on the big picture. They say, I want to start a business, I want to write a book, or I want to lose 30 pounds. And while those are great visions, they're not executable tasks. You can't start a business in a day. You can't write a book in a single burst. You need to break those goals down into micro steps that you can actually take today, tomorrow, this week. Because when a goal is broken down into clear actions, it becomes real, it becomes tractable, it becomes doable. Having a tactical plan means reverse engineering your goal. Start at the end result and work your way backwards. Ask yourself, what would need to happen 1 month before I hit that goal? Then what would need to happen 1 week before that? Keep working backwards until you're at today. That's how you create a timeline that makes progress inevitable. It's no longer a vague dream sitting on your vision board. It's a structured sequence of steps that guide your decisions, your time, and your energy. Let's say your goal is to run a marathon in 6 months. The big picture might seem intimidating, but when you break it down, your plan starts with a daily running schedule, weekly mileage goals, meal prep, recovery routines, and maybe even hiring a coach. Each of these smaller tasks is manageable. And as you check them off, you build momentum. You start to trust yourself. That trust creates confidence, and that confidence becomes fuel. A tactical plan also eliminates confusion. Most people fail not because they're lazy, but because they're uncertain. They don't know what to do next, so they do nothing. But if you wake up each day and your plan says run 2 miles, write 500 words, call 3 clients, or spend 30 minutes on skill development, then you don't waste time thinking. You just execute. Planning in advance is a gift to your future self. There's a difference between reacting and leading. Another crucial element of a tactical plan is accountability. Once you've mapped out your steps, you can measure your progress, you can see what's working and what needs to be adjusted. And when you start to hit those small milestones, when you check off that daily box, you get a surge of motivation. You're not just dreaming anymore, you're doing. And that creates momentum. Momentum is addictive. It turns effort into a habit, and it creates a rhythm that makes showing up easier and more automatic. Your plan doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it won't be. Life will throw curveballs. You'll miss a day. You'll need to pivot. But the point of a plan isn't to predict everything. It's to give you structure. It's to prevent you from drifting. It's to keep your feet moving even when your mind is full of doubt. Without a plan, your goals float around as ideas. With a plan, they take shape. They develop muscle. They gain momentum. A tactical plan turns intention into execution, and execution is where transformation lives. If you want to achieve a powerful goal, it won't happen through random bursts of motivation. It happens through what you do every single day. Your rituals, your routines, your habits. Success is not one big moment. It's the result of consistent mental and physical conditioning. Creating daily rituals is the way you train your mind and body to move in alignment with your purpose. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your system. And your systems are built out of what you repeat every day, especially when nobody's watching. Think about it. If your rituals are to wake up late, scroll on your phone, eat junk, avoid challenges, and live in reaction, how can you expect to create an extraordinary life? That kind of routine builds mediocrity. But if your rituals include intentional focus, movement, learning, planning, and feeding your body and mind with the right energy, day after day, you will start to stack small wins. Those small wins compound into massive shifts. Your results will begin to change, not because of what you wish for, but because of what you repeatedly do. Daily rituals are how you create leverage over your own psychology. You don't have to feel motivated every day, but if you've built rituals that anchor you, rituals that wake you up mentally and physically, then you'll take action even on the days when you don't feel like it. That's the difference between amateurs and pros. Amateurs act when it's convenient. Pros act because it's part of who they are. And rituals are how identity is shaped. If you meditate every morning, if you write your goals out daily, if you move your body with intention, if you feed your mind with powerful ideas, you're conditioning yourself to become the kind of person who follows through. Rituals also create emotional stability. Life is unpredictable. Stress, fear, uncertainty. They're all part of the game, but when you have rituals that ground you, you don't get thrown off as easily. A morning routine becomes your armor. An evening ritual becomes your reset. These aren't just habits. They're tools for self-regulation. They keep you aligned with your vision, even when the world around you gets chaotic. That's why top performers, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists are obsessive about their rituals. It's not because they're superhuman. It's because they know what's at stake if they don't protect their state. When you build rituals around movement, breath, nutrition, learning, and planning, you're investing in your long-term energy. You're creating stamina. You're creating a system that supports high performance instead of draining it. And it doesn't have to be complicated. A 5-minute morning stretch, 10 minutes of journaling, a cold shower, a focused work sprint. These are simple acts, but they become powerful because of repetition. The brain wires itself through repetition. And when you repeat actions that align with your higher self, you reinforce a stronger identity. That identity drives better choices. Those choices create better outcomes. What you do daily matters more than what you do occasionally. If your goal is big, your rituals must be strong enough to carry it. You can't expect to run a marathon on the body of a couch potato, and you can't expect to build a powerful business on the mindset of someone who's constantly distracted. Rituals are how you upgrade your system from the inside out. They create structure in a world full of noise. They anchor you to what really matters. When you build them consciously, they become a force multiplier. They don't just help you perform better, they help you become better. That's what creates momentum. That's what creates transformation. Failure isn't the enemy, stagnation is. Too many people let one failure stop them. They hit an obstacle and treat it like a wall, when in reality it's just a curve in the road. If you want to achieve anything meaningful, you have to fail forward, and you have to do it fast. That means acting, adjusting, learning, and moving again. You don't pause for weeks, months, or years trying to make everything perfect. You don't wait for every piece to line up before you begin. You move, you test, you try. And when something doesn't work, you don't throw away the goal, you flex the strategy. You don't change the vision, you change the approach. There's a fundamental mindset difference between those who succeed and those who stall out. Successful people expect failure. They don't see it as a setback. They see it as data. They don't take it personally. They take it constructively. Because when you try something and it doesn't work, all it means is that you've learned what doesn't. But if you're not willing to go through that process, if you're so afraid to get it wrong that you never start or never adjust, you stay stuck. You become paralyzed by perfectionism. You hide behind planning. And planning without action is just procrastination in disguise. Failing forward fast is about speed and flexibility. It's about being agile enough to move with life instead of resisting it. You try something, it flops, you get the feedback, and you pivot. You experiment again, learn again, and shift again. That's how innovation happens. That's how mastery is built. Nobody gets it right the first time. Not the first product, not the first speech, not the first sale, not the first launch. So if you're expecting smooth sailing from day one, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. The path to success is paved with screw-ups. But those screw-ups only hurt if you let them define you instead of refine you. People who make it are obsessed with the vision, but they stay flexible with the vehicle. They're married to the outcome, not to the method. That's where resilience comes from. When one door closes, they don't freeze. They look for the next one. When one plan fails, they don't collapse. They build another. And they do it quickly, without drama, without self-pity, because they understand that progress doesn't come from flawless execution. It comes from relentless iteration. They fail fast because they move fast. And they move fast because they know the clock doesn't wait. Every failure contains a gift, but you have to be willing to unwrap it. You have to look at what worked, what didn't, and what you'll do differently next time. That reflection turns failure into fuel. It builds wisdom. It sharpens your instincts. And the more you go through it, the thicker your skin gets. You stop fearing failure because you realize it's temporary. You realize it's a stepping stone, not a verdict. The only people who never fail are the ones who never try. And the ones who try the most are the ones who grow the fastest. So if your first launch doesn't sell, you don't quit. You study the offer and improve it. If your first workout plan doesn't get results, you tweak the reps and the nutrition. If your content doesn't connect, you refine the message. If your team breaks down, you change how you lead. But you don't give up on the goal. You don't let one failed strategy shake your belief in the vision. You stay committed. You stay obsessed, and you keep moving. Because in the game of transformation, speed matters. Adaptability matters. Grit matters. If you're willing to fail forward fast, you'll always outpace the ones waiting to be perfect. So if you truly want to set goals that actually work, it's time to shift from wishful thinking to intentional living. This isn't about writing dreams in a journal and hoping they show up. It's about backing them with emotional fire, ruthless clarity, irreversible commitment, tactical execution, daily rich rules, and a mindset that embraces failure as part of the path. Your vision isn't some far-off fantasy. It becomes your reality the moment you stop dabbling and start deciding. The moment you burn the boats and declare, "This is who I am now." The world doesn't reward the most talented, it rewards the most committed. You don't need more motivation. You need a system that pulls you forward even when motivation fades. So get clear, get tactical, get emotionally invested, and then move fast, flexible, and fierce. Because if you stay aligned with your vision and show up every day like your life depends on it, eventually it will.
Have you ever wondered why the more you chase something, the further it seems to slip away? Why is it that no matter how much effort you put into pursuing that dream, that relationship, that success, it always feels just out of reach, like water slipping through your fingers? Today, I want to invite you into a different way of seeing. I want to ask you to pause just for a moment and really feel this question. What if the very act of chasing is what's keeping it away? We've been taught from childhood to run after what we want. We've been conditioned to believe that unless we strive, struggle, and push harder than anyone else, we'll never have what we desire. We're told to go get it, to make it happen, to never stop fighting. But let me tell you, this constant running is the very thing that blinds us to the truth. What you're seeking is already seeking you. When you run, you're telling the universe that you don't have it yet, that it's far from you and you must catch it. You send out energy of lack, fear, and separation. You're saying, it's not mine yet, I must chase it because it's not here. And the universe responds, as you believe, so it is done unto you. The harder you chase, the more you affirm your belief that is not yours, and so it remains just out of reach. So pause, take a breath, feel the stillness that lives beneath the surface of your striving. Think of the ocean. The waves rise and fall, the tides come and go, but the ocean does not run. It simply is. And yet everything that belongs to it, the moonlight, the fish, the currents, they find their way back to it naturally. Or consider the flower in a garden. It does not chase the sun, it simply opens itself and the sun comes. The bee finds it, the rain nourishes it. Why? Because it already carries within itself everything it needs to become what it is meant to be. You too are like that flower. You are already whole. You are already worthy. What belongs to you cannot miss you. But it cannot reach you if you're constantly running away from yourself, out there in the noise and desperation of the chase. So let me ask you again, what if the very thing you desire is standing right at the edge of your awareness, waiting for you to stop running so it can finally catch up? Sometimes the greatest act of courage is to stop, to stand still, to say, I trust that what is mine will find me. This isn't about giving up. This isn't about doing nothing. It's about shifting your energy from frantic pursuit to calm knowing. It's about stepping into alignment with the truth that everything you desire already exists, and your job is not to chase it, but to allow it. So today I invite you to reflect on this. What have you been chasing? Whose approval? What dream? What outcome have you been running after so hard that you can no longer hear the quiet voice of your own soul? Sit with that, because when you stop running, you'll see the thing you were chasing was always walking right beside you, waiting for you to notice. Stop running after it. Let it arrive naturally. Why is it that the more desperately you want something, the more it seems to slip through your fingers? Why does it feel like the harder you chase, the further it runs? Let me share with you a profound truth. Chasing creates resistance. And resistance is what keeps your heart's deepest desires from reaching you. You see, when you chase something, you are not moving toward it with trust or faith. You are running after it from a place of fear. Fear that it won't come. Fear that you are not enough. Fear that you have to do something extraordinary to deserve it. This energy of fear and desperation sends a very clear signal to the universe. I don't have it yet. I'm incomplete. I'm separate from what I want. And because the universe mirrors your inner state, it keeps showing you situations, people, and experiences that reinforce that belief that you are still lacking, that you still need to struggle, that is still not yours. Think about it like this. Imagine you're in a river, and your goal is a beautiful leaf floating downstream. In your panic to grab it, you start thrashing and swimming frantically, creating waves and splashes that push the leaf away. The more effort you put into chasing it, the more turbulent the water becomes, and the leaf drifts farther and farther. But if you simply relax, let the river carry you, and trust its flow, you and the leaf eventually meet, effortlessly, presaging Aran Au. Aran, the same law applies to everything in your life: love, abundance, peace, spiritual awakening. Tracing comes from believing that what you desire is outside of you, that it exists somewhere out there, and you must run to catch it. This belief blinds you to the truth. Nothing you desire is truly outside of you. Every desire begins as a seed planted deep in your consciousness, and it blooms from within. When you chase something, you actually separate yourself from it. You say with your thoughts and actions, I don't have it. And it may never come unless I force it. That energy becomes resistance, a wall between you and what you seek. Resistance is felt as tension in your body, doubt in your mind, and heaviness in your heart. It clouds your ability to see the signs and opportunities that are already around you. It blinds you to the subtle ways your desire may already be making its way to you. The great mystics have always taught this: the kingdom of heaven is within. What you seek is already inside you, waiting for you to recognize it. But as long as you are running, you cannot hear its quiet whisper. So stop chasing, stop resisting. Let go of the desperate grasping, the endless reaching. When you release the need to control, you free up the energy that has been blocking your path. Instead of saying, how can I get it? Start saying, how can I align with it? Instead of thinking, it's far away, start knowing it's already here, unfolding in its perfect time. When you dissolve resistance, you open yourself to receive what has always been yours. You enter into a state of flow, where life begins to deliver to you more than you even imagined, without struggle, without strain. Remember this: what you chase runs from you, but what you embody comes to you. You don't need to run anymore. You only need to trust. There is a divine order in everything. The universe does not rush, yet everything gets done. This is what I call the law of natural unfolding, the sacred rhythm by which all things come into being at the perfect time, in the perfect way. Look around you at nature and you will see this law at work everywhere. The sun does not hurry to rise, yet it lights the whole world. The seasons do not compete to arrive faster, yet each one comes exactly when it should. The tree does not force its fruit to ripen, yet when the moment is right, the fruit appears, sweet, perfect, effortless. You and your desires are no different. Every dream you carry in your heart, every vision you hold in your mind is like a seed planted in the soil of your soul. And like any seed, it has its own time to sprout, grow, and blossom. But here's the mistake we make. Instead of trusting that process, we dig up the seed to see if it's growing. We pour too much water. We become impatient and try to force it to bloom before its time. And in doing so, we disturb the very process that was already working perfectly. The law of natural unfolding teaches us to align with the flow of life, not to fight against it. It reminds us that everything has its season, and nothing can arrive a moment too soon, nor a moment too late. When you chase and strive beyond what is needed, you step out of harmony with this natural law. You create resistance. You block the gentle flow that was already bringing you closer to what you desire. You see, the universe is a master artist. It weaves together countless threads people, circumstances, lessons and opportunities into the masterpiece of your life. But a masterpiece takes time. Just as you would not rush the painter to finish his canvas, or the composer to complete her symphony, you must not rush the unfolding of your own destiny. The law of natural unfolding is not passive. It does not mean doing nothing. It means doing your part. Planting the seed, tending the soil, nourishing it with faith, and then allowing the invisible forces to do theirs. It is a dance between your intention and the universe's wisdom. When you trust this law, you no longer feel the need to control every detail or chase after what you desire. You begin to see that what is yours cannot miss you, and what is not yours cannot stay. You begin to feel peace even as you wait, because you know the process is alive, moving, working in your favor. This trust transforms everything. Suddenly you notice that the right opportunities come to you without struggle. The right people cross your path without you searching for them. The right answers reveal themselves when you are still enough to hear them. It is the same way the flower knows when to bloom and the tide knows when to rise, because the rhythm of life is written into your very being. So today, I invite you to stop forcing and start trusting. Stop questioning the timing of your life and start believing in its perfection. When you align yourself with the law of natural unfolding, you step into the flow of grace, and everything you've been running after begins to arrive, quietly, beautifully, in its own divine time. Let it unfold. It already knows the way to you. There is a place within you where everything you seek already exists. A place beyond the noise, beyond the doubts, beyond the restless chase. This place is called inner stillness, and it holds the power to transform your life. Most of us spend our days running after success, love, peace, happiness, as though these things live somewhere outside of us. But what if I told you that the very thing you are running toward is already waiting for you in the silence of your own being? Inner stillness is not simply the absence of movement or sound. It is the presence of something greater, a deep knowing, a calm awareness, a quiet confidence that everything you need is already here. You see, when the mind is busy, constantly worrying, planning, grasping, it drowns out the gentle whispers of the soul. When you are caught up in fear, impatience, and struggle, you create a storm inside yourself that makes it impossible to see clearly. You lose sight of the subtle signs and synchronicities that are guiding you. Think of a pond. When the water is stirred up, you cannot see the bottom. It becomes cloudy and chaotic. But when the water is still, it becomes clear, and everything beneath the surface is revealed. The same is true of your mind and your spirit. When you cultivate stillness, clarity emerges, answers appear, inspiration flows, and what you have been chasing begins to move toward you naturally. Inner stillness is a state of surrender, not giving up but letting go of the need to control. It is trusting the wisdom of the unseen forces that are already at work on your behalf. You do not need to run after your desires when you are still, because in that stillness you realize you already hold the essence of what you seek. You stop acting out of fear that it won't come, and you start living in the quiet confidence that it already belongs to you. This stillness does not mean inactivity. It does not mean you sit and do nothing. Rather, it is an inner attitude, a calm presence you carry even as you take action. You move, but you move from peace, not panic. You work, but you work from trust, not tension. The mystics have always known this truth. They retreated into silence, not to escape the world, but to align with it. They discovered that in the quiet of their own hearts, they could touch something infinite. And from that place, their lives unfolded effortlessly. In your stillness, you begin to hear the subtle guidance that was always speaking to you. The intuition, the insights, the gentle nudges. You notice opportunities you once overlooked. You attract people and circumstances that resonate with your calm, trusting energy. You also begin to realize that you are not separate from what you seek. That the love, the abundance, the peace you desire is simply a reflection of who you already are. So today, I invite you to pause, breathe, turn inward, feel the stillness that is always available beneath the noise of the world. Rest in that quiet and allow it to speak to you. It is in your stillness that you become magnetic. It is in your stillness that what you once chased begins to flow to you. You draw in the siciliarity, and the new things become a form, and you suddenly become aware that nothing is. Remember, the river does not chase the sea. It simply flows, steady, quiet, certain, and the sea comes to meet it. In the same way, stop running, find your stillness, and watch as everything you desire begins to arrive naturally in its own perfect way. One of the greatest shifts you can make in your life is learning how to let go of control and step fully into trust. This is not just a spiritual lesson. It is the very key to allowing your desires to arrive naturally, without struggle or resistance. From the time we are children, we are taught to take charge, to make things happen, to plan and push and force our way through life. We are told that unless we control every detail, everything might fall apart. And so we clench our fists around our dreams, hold on too tightly to our plans, and exhaust ourselves trying to bend the world to our will. But here is the truth. The need to control is rooted in fear. Fear that you are not enough. Fear that life will let you down. Fear that if you don't micromanage every moment, nothing good will come to you. And yet, have you noticed how life often surprises you in the moments when you let go? Have you noticed how the most beautiful things, the love that found you when you stopped looking, the opportunity that appeared when you least expected it, the answer that arrived when you finally surrendered, came not through your control, but through your trust. To trust means to recognize that there is a wisdom far greater than your mind at work in your life. It means you no longer need to force outcomes, because you believe that what is meant for you will come, and what is not meant for you will fall away. Trust does not mean you stop taking action, but your actions change. You act from a place of peace rather than panic. You choose steps that feel inspired, not desperate. You stop fighting the current of the river and allow it to carry you toward your destination. Think of it like this. If you are in a boat and you cling to the oars, rowing against the flow, you exhaust yourself and go nowhere. But if you trust the river and let it guide you, you arrive exactly where you're meant to be, often faster and more gracefully than you imagine. The shift from control to trust is not always easy. It requires courage. It requires you to release your grip on the illusion that you can plan every detail. It asks you to open your heart to uncertainty and to believe that the unknown holds blessings you cannot yet see. One way to begin this shift is to practice gratitude, not just for what has already come, but for what is on its way. When you say, I trust that everything is unfolding perfectly for me, you align yourself with the energy of faith. You begin to attract what belongs to you instead of chasing what doesn't. Another way is to pay attention to how you feel when you're holding on too tightly. Notice the tension in your body, the anxiety in your thoughts, the frustration in your heart. These are signs that you are trying to control something instead of trusting. In those moments, pause, breathe, and remind yourself, life has never failed me before. Why would it start now? When you shift from control to trust, you open yourself to miracles. You create space for the universe to surprise you. You discover that what you thought you needed to force was already making its way to you. So today, loosen your grip. Trust the timing of your life. Trust the wisdom of your own soul. Trust that what is meant for you will not pass you by. And as you trust, you'll find that the things you used to chase start finding you quietly, beautifully, in their own perfect way. If you want what you desire to come to you naturally, without the struggle, without the exhausting chase, then you must first align yourself with it. This is one of the deepest spiritual secrets. You cannot attract something you are not in harmony with. Everything in the universe responds to vibration, and your inner state, your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs is what sets your vibration. We don't attract what you wish for. You attract what you are aligned with. So the question becomes, how do you align yourself with what you desire? How do you become a match for the very thing you long to experience? The first step is to become very clear about what you truly desire. Not what you've been told you should want, but what your soul really longs for. Take time to sit with yourself in stillness and listen. What would it feel like to live the life you dream of? What does that look like, sound like, feel like? Then, once you have clarity, you begin to create that feeling inside you now, even before it manifests in the outer world. This is the opposite of chasing. Chasing says, it's out there, I must go and get it. Alignment says, it's already within me, I simply need to express it. One powerful way to do this is through visualization. Not as a daydream, but as an inner rehearsal of reality. Close your eyes and imagine yourself already living what you desire. See it clearly, vividly. Feel the emotions as though it has already happened. Your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. So it begins to align your actions, energy, and circumstances to match that inner picture. But visualization alone is not enough if it is empty of feeling. The real magic lies in what the mystics call feeling it real. The emotional state you cultivate when you imagine your desire is what calls it into being. If you desire love, feel love now. If you desire abundance, feel abundant now. If you desire peace, become peaceful now. Another way to align yourself is through your words. What you speak becomes your truth. Many people cancel out their desires by saying things like, I'll never get that, or too hard, or it's impossible. Every time you say such words, you reaffirm separation from what you want. Instead, speak words that affirm your alignment. I am ready. I trust. I welcome this into my life now. Your actions also matter. While chasing is desperate and fearful, inspired action comes from trust and clarity. When you are aligned, you will feel gentle nudges to take steps. Call this person, go to this place, start this project. These actions feel light, exciting, natural. because they come from your inner alignment, not from outer pressure. It's also essential to release what no longer matches your desired state. If you're clinging to old habits, relationships, or thoughts that are out of harmony with your dream, they create resistance. Letting go of these opens the space for what you truly want to flow in. And finally, cultivate patience. Alignment is not about instant gratification, it is about trust. The universe is already moving to bring you what is yours, but it does so on its own schedule, in its own perfect way. When you align yourself inwardly with what you desire in your thoughts, feelings, words, actions, and energy, you become magnetic. What once seemed distant begins to draw closer, quietly and naturally. Stop running after what you want. Instead, become it. Live as though it is already yours. That is the essence of alignment, and that is how you allow what is meant for you to arrive in its divine time. How do you know if you've truly stopped chasing and started allowing? How can you tell if you're finally aligned with the flow of life instead of swimming against it? When you shift from chasing to allowing, your inner world changes, and your outer world reflects that change. You begin to notice certain signs that show you're no longer in resistance, no longer trying to force what is already yours. These signs are subtle, yet unmistakable. One of the first signs is a deep sense of peace inside you. Where once you felt anxious, impatient, or restless about your desires, now you feel calm, even when nothing outwardly has changed yet. This calm does not come because the desire has arrived, but because you trust that it will. You no longer feel the need to control the timing or the method. You simply know that what's meant for you is already on its way. Another sign is that you begin to experience synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that guide your path. The right people show up unexpectedly. The right opportunities present themselves without struggle. You overhear a conversation, see a sign, or stumble upon something that feels like a personal message from the universe. These are not accidents. They're reminders that you're in harmony with the flow, that life is conspiring to deliver what you've allowed yourself to receive. You'll also notice that your actions feel inspired rather than forced. Instead of pushing yourself to do things out of fear that you'll miss your chance, you find yourself gently guided towards certain steps. You feel drawn to make a phone call, visit a place, start a project, and these actions feel joyful, light, and natural, not heavy or desperate. As you allow, you might also observe that you care less about how or when your desire arrives. This is a powerful sign because it means you've released attachment. You still want your dream, but you no longer feel empty without it. You no longer measure your worth by its arrival. You trust the process enough to enjoy where you are now, even as you welcome what's coming. Another beautiful sign of allowing is a rise of gratitude in your heart. Even before the manifestation, you find yourself saying, thank you, not just for what you have now, but for what you feel is already on its way. This gratitude is a magnet. It draws your desire closer because it signals to the universe that you already believe it's yours. You may also notice that your relationships become more harmonious. Why? Because you're no longer trying to force people to behave a certain way or to fill a void within you. You let others be who they are, just as you allow yourself to be. You become less reactive and more compassionate because you trust that nothing and no one can take away what is truly meant for you. Perhaps one of the clearest signs you're allowing is that you begin to feel whole and complete right now, where once you believed your happiness depended on achieving your goal or receiving your desire, you now realize that the joy was inside you all along. You feel a quiet confidence that nothing outside you can add to or take away from your inner fullness. And lastly, you begin to notice that things arrive in your life with ease, almost effortlessly. The doors open without you having to knock so hard. The answers appear without you having to search endlessly. The desires you once chased seem to find you when you least expect them, because you've stopped running and created space for them to enter. These are the signs that you've moved from chasing to allowing, from resistance to flow, from fear to faith. When you see these signs in your own life, smile. Know that you're aligned. Trust that what belongs to you is already finding its way, quietly, gracefully, because you've finally stopped running and opened yourself to receive. You have spent so much of your life running after dreams, chasing love, pursuing peace, believing that if you didn't keep moving, you would somehow lose your chance. But today I want to invite you to stop running after it. Stop telling yourself it's far away. Stop believing you have to prove yourself worthy of it. Instead, let it arrive naturally. Right here, right now, take a breath. Feel the quiet strength that lives beneath your restlessness. Feel the calm that has always been waiting for you just below the surface of your striving. Because here is the truth. What you seek has been seeking you all along. You don't have to chase love, because love already lives within you. You don't have to hunt down success, because your unique gifts are already your success in motion. You don't have to run after peace, because the stillness you long for is already inside you, waiting for you to notice. So I ask you, what if you stopped running today? What if you chose instead to trust, to believe that the timing of your life is perfect, to believe that the universe has not forgotten you? You are not late, you are not behind, you are not empty. You are exactly where you are meant to be, and what is meant for you is already on its way. So here is your call to action. Begin living as though your desire is already yours. Begin speaking, thinking, feeling, and walking as though you already possess what you've been chasing. If you long for love, embody love. Treat yourself with tenderness. Treat others with compassion. Open your heart to connection without clinging or grasping. If you long for abundance, feel abundant now. Notice the blessings already present in your life. Share what you have generously, knowing you are supported. If you long for peace, be still now. Slow your breath, quiet your mind, and let yourself rest in the present moment. Because here's the secret: when you stop running after what you want and start becoming what you want, everything begins to shift. You no longer push it away with desperate energy. Instead, you draw it to you effortlessly. So I invite you to make a choice today. Instead of asking, how do I get it? Begin asking, how can I allow it? Instead of thinking, it's out there somewhere, start saying, it is already here, finding its way to me. Instead of living in fear of missing out, live in faith that nothing meant for you can pass you by. If you do just this, if you quiet your racing heart, release your clenched fists, and trust the flow of your own life, you will find that what you've been chasing is already standing right beside you, ready to enter when you make room for it. So let this be your practice. Each day, pause, breathe. Remind yourself that you are enough, and what is yours is already yours. Stop running after it, and let it arrive naturally, because when you trust instead of chase, when you allow instead of force, you step into the rhythm of the universe. And in that rhythm, everything that belongs to you finds you in its perfect time, in its perfect way. So be still, trust, and watch what unfolds.